Hello and welcome to Listen and Learn English. Today's story is called Nobody Believed in Him. This is a heartfelt story about Michael, a young man who grows up hearing doubt from others, but continues moving forward with quiet determination. Through struggle, patience, and hard work, he slowly discovers his own strength and purpose. Now let's begin the story. When Michael Turner was 16, people often said the same thing about him. He will never go far. They did not say it loudly. They said it quietly, in conversations that stopped when he entered the room. Teachers said he lacked focus. Neighbors said he was lazy. Even some relatives said he was not like the others in the family. Michael heard enough to understand. He was not the best student. He struggled to sit still in class. Numbers confused him. Long lessons made his mind wander. While other students answered quickly, Michael needed more time. By the time he understood, the class had already moved on. Slowly, he stopped trying to raise his hand. At home, things were not easier. His mother worked long hours at a small grocery store. His father had left years earlier, and money was always tight. Michael tried to help where he could, but every mistake felt larger than it really was. "Why can't you be more serious?" his uncle once said during dinner. Michael said nothing. He just nodded and looked at his plate. What no one noticed was that Michael tried harder than anyone knew. He stayed up late finishing homework. He rewrote assignments again and again. But when results came back, they were always average or below average. After a while, disappointment became familiar, so Michael stopped talking about his dreams. But he still had one. Every evening after school, he walked past a small auto repair shop at the corner of his street. The sound of tools, engines, and laughter always pulled his attention. The owner, an older man named Mr. Harris, worked with calm confidence. Broken cars arrived every day, and somehow he made them work again. Michael liked watching from outside. Machines made sense to him. They did not judge. If something was broken, there was always a reason, and if you understood the reason, you could fix it. One afternoon, Mr. Harris noticed him standing there again. "You like cars?" the old man asked. Michael hesitated. "Yes, sir." "Then don't just stand there. Come closer." That was the first time someone invited him instead of dismissing him. From that day on, Michael visited the shop whenever he could. At first, he only watched. Then he started handing tools, cleaning parts, and asking questions. Mr. Harris answered patiently. Michael learned quickly, much faster than he learned at school. He remembered how engines sounded when something was wrong. He noticed small details others missed. For the first time, he felt capable. But outside the shop, nothing changed. At school, teachers still saw him as the quiet boy at the back. Classmates still joked about his poor grades. When graduation approached, most students talked about university plans. Michael stayed silent. One evening, his mother asked gently, "What will you do after school?" Michael looked down at his hands. "I want to work with cars." She sighed, tired from a long day. "That's hard work. You need something more stable." The words were not cruel. They were worried. But to Michael, they sounded like doubt. Again. Later that night, he sat alone in his room, staring at the ceiling. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe he simply wasn't good enough for anything more. The next day, he almost didn't go to the repair shop. But when he arrived, Mr. Harris handed him a wrench and said, "This engine won't start. Tell me what you think." Michael listened carefully. He checked the battery, the fuel line, the spark plugs. His hands moved slowly but confidently. After a few minutes, he spoke. "I think it's not getting fuel properly." Mr. Harris smiled slightly. "Go on." Michael adjusted a small part and tried again. The engine started immediately. The sound filled the garage. For a moment, Michael just stared, surprised at himself. Mr. Harris nodded. "You see? You understand things. You just need time." No one had ever said that to him before. That evening, Michael walked home differently. The world looked the same, but something inside him felt lighter. Maybe he wasn't slow. Maybe he simply learned in a different way. Still, doubt followed him. When people around you stop believing, it becomes easy to stop believing too. Months passed. Michael finished school with average results. Many of his classmates moved away for university. Some looked at him with sympathy, others with quiet judgment. "So what now?" one of them asked. Michael shrugged. "I'll find work." The truth was, he wasn't sure what would happen next. One afternoon, Mr. Harris called him into the office. "I'm getting older," the old man said. "The shop needs help, real help. If you want to learn seriously, you can stay here, but it won't be easy." Michael's heart raced. This was the opportunity he had secretly hoped for. "I'll work hard," he said quickly. Mr. Harris studied him for a moment. "I know you will. The question is, will you keep going when others say you can't?" Michael didn't answer immediately. He had heard these words his whole life. "You get used to it," he said finally. Mr. Harris shook his head gently. "No, you don't get used to it. You learn to ignore it." The work was harder than Michael expected. Long hours, heavy tools, mistakes that cost time and money. Some customers doubted him because he looked young and unsure. A few even asked for someone else. Each time, embarrassment burned inside him. More than once he thought about quitting. But every time an engine finally started because of his effort, something stronger than doubt returned. Purpose. At home, his mother slowly noticed the change. Michael spoke more. He looked more confident. He came home tired but proud. Still, not everyone believed in him. "You're wasting your time," his uncle said again one evening. "That's not a real future." Michael felt the old frustration rise, but this time he didn't argue. He simply said, "I like what I do." It was the first time he defended his own path. Years of doubt do not disappear quickly. They fade slowly, replaced by small moments of success. And Michael's journey was only beginning. Because soon he would face a challenge that would test everything he believed about himself. And this time, there would be no one standing beside him to help. The repair shop became Michael's world. Every morning he arrived before sunrise. The air smelled of oil and metal, and the quiet before customers arrived gave him time to think. Work was still difficult, but now difficulty no longer frightened him. It felt like something he could solve. Mr. Harris taught him slowly, not only how to repair engines, but how to listen to machines and to people. "Cars tell you what's wrong," the old man often said. "You just need patience." Michael understood that. Patience was something life had forced him to learn. Months turned into a year. Michael's hands grew stronger. His movements became more confident. Customers began to notice that the quiet young mechanic could fix problems others missed. But belief from others came slowly. Some customers still looked past him and asked for Mr. Harris. Others watched him carefully, waiting for mistakes. Each doubtful look reminded him of school, of teachers who expected little from him. The old insecurity never disappeared completely. It stayed in the background, whispering, "You are not good enough." One afternoon, a man arrived with a damaged truck. 2 other repair shops had already failed to fix it. The engine stopped suddenly while driving, and no one could find the cause. Mr. Harris examined it briefly, then stepped back. "You take this one," he told Michael. Michael froze. "Me?" "Yes, you." The responsibility felt heavy. If he failed, the customer would lose more time and money, and everyone would see that the doubts were right. For 2 days, Michael worked quietly. He checked every part again and again. Nothing seemed wrong, yet the problem remained. Frustration grew inside him. On the 3rd evening, after everyone else left, he stayed alone in the shop. The silence reminded him of the nights he once spent struggling with homework, trying to understand something that refused to make sense. He almost gave up. Then he remembered something Mr. Harris once said. "Don't rush. Listen." Michael started the engine again and closed his eyes. He listened carefully, not just to the loud sounds, but to the small ones underneath. A faint, irregular noise caught his attention. Something subtle, easy to miss. He followed the sound step by step until he found it. A small, damaged component hidden deep inside the engine. It was something simple, something everyone else had overlooked. When the truck finally ran smoothly, Michael felt a quiet shock. He had done it alone. The next morning, the customer returned. After testing the truck, the man smiled broadly. "You fixed it," he said, surprised. "No one else could." Michael nodded, unsure how to respond. For the first time, someone looked at him with respect instead of doubt. That moment stayed with him long after the customer left. Later that day, Mr. Harris placed a hand on his shoulder. "You see? Skill grows when you stop fearing mistakes." Michael smiled slightly, but inside, something deeper changed. He realized confidence did not come from praise. It came from surviving failure and trying again. Life, however, rarely moves in a straight line. A few months later, Mr. Harris became ill. At first, he insisted it was nothing, but his strength slowly faded. He spent less time in the shop, leaving more responsibility to Michael. The pressure returned immediately. Customers questioned him again. Suppliers asked for decisions he wasn't sure how to make. Bills needed to be paid. Problems appeared faster than solutions. Some nights, Michael sat alone in the office, staring at numbers he barely understood. The old fear returned stronger than before. Maybe everyone had been right. Maybe he wasn't ready. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, he locked the shop early and sat in silence. The tools around him suddenly felt heavy. He missed having someone to ask, someone to confirm he was doing things correctly. For the first time in years, he considered walking away. A safer job, less responsibility, less pressure. As he turned off the lights, he noticed something on the wall. An old photo of Mr. Harris standing beside the shop when it first opened. The building looked smaller, unfinished. Mr. Harris looked younger, uncertain but proud. Michael stared at the photo for a long time. Mr. Harris had started alone, too. He had not been born confident. He had built it slowly, mistake by mistake. The realization settled quietly in Michael's mind. Confidence was not something given by others. It was something earned through persistence. The next morning, Michael opened the shop earlier than usual. He greeted customers directly. He made decisions, even when unsure. Some choices worked, some did not, but he kept moving forward. Weeks later, Mr. Harris returned briefly, thinner but smiling. "You didn't quit," he said. Michael shook his head. "I wanted to." Mr. Harris laughed softly. "Everyone wants to at some point." The shop continued to run, slowly stabilizing under Michael's care. Customers began asking for him by name. The same people who once doubted him now trusted his judgment. Still, Michael remembered how it felt when nobody believed in him. That memory kept him humble. One evening, his mother visited the shop for the first time. She watched quietly as Michael explained a repair to a customer with calm confidence. When the customer left, she smiled. "You look different," she said. Michael wiped his hands on a cloth. "How?" "Certain," she replied. He thought about that word. For years, certainty felt impossible. Now it felt natural. Not because life had become easier, but because he had stopped measuring himself by other people's expectations. As the sun set outside the garage, Michael realized something important. The world had not suddenly started believing in him. He had simply started believing in himself first. And sometimes, that is where every change begins. The years passed quietly, marked not by dramatic events but by steady growth. The repair shop no longer felt like a place where Michael was learning. It felt like a place where he belonged. After Mr. Harris officially retired, the responsibility of the shop rested fully on Michael's shoulders. The first morning he unlocked the door as the owner, he stood still for a moment, holding the key tightly. He remembered the boy who once stood outside this same shop, too unsure to step inside. Now, the sign above the door had changed. Harris and Turner Auto Repair. Michael had insisted on keeping Mr. Harris's name. Respect mattered more to him than recognition. Running the business alone was not easy. There were slow months when money felt tight. There were unexpected problems, broken equipment, delayed deliveries, customers who complained unfairly. Each challenge tested him, but he no longer saw difficulty as proof of weakness. He saw it as part of the process. One afternoon, a teenage boy stood outside the shop, watching through the open garage door. Michael noticed him immediately. The boy looked uncertain, hands in his pockets, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. Michael walked outside. "You like cars?" he asked. The boy looked surprised. "Yes, sir." Michael smiled slightly at the familiar words. "Then don't just stand there. Come closer." The boy stepped forward cautiously. "My name is Ethan," he said. "Michael," he replied. Ethan explained that school wasn't going well. Teachers said he wasn't focused. His grades were poor. Most people believed he wouldn't achieve much. As Michael listened, he felt a strange echo of his own past. He recognized the tone, quiet frustration mixed with hidden hope. "You ever try working with your hands?" Michael asked. Ethan shrugged. "Not really." Michael handed him a simple tool. "Let's start there." Over the next weeks, Ethan began visiting regularly. He made mistakes, dropped tools, asked too many questions, just like Michael once had. And just like Mr. Harris had done for him, Michael answered patiently. "Take your time," he would say. "Listen." One evening, after successfully fixing a small problem on his own, Ethan looked up with disbelief. "I did that," he said softly. Michael nodded. "Yes, you did." In that moment, Michael understood something deeply. Belief is powerful, not because it guarantees success, but because it allows effort to continue. Not everyone will believe in you. Some people cannot see beyond grades, mistakes, or first impressions. Some people judge quickly because they are afraid themselves. but doubt from others does not define your ability. Michael learned that confidence grows quietly. It is built in small victories, in staying late to solve a problem, in trying again after failure, in refusing to quit when quitting feels easier. One Saturday afternoon, the shop was busier than usual. Cars lined the street. Customers waited patiently. Michael moved calmly between tasks, answering questions, guiding Ethan and another young assistant. At one point, he paused and looked around. The sound of engines, tools, and conversation filled the air. It was the same sound that once gave him hope as a teenager standing outside the door. Now, he was the one creating that hope for someone else. Later that evening, his mother stopped by again. She looked around the shop proudly. "You built this," she said. Michael shook his head gently. Not alone. He thought of Mr. Harris. He thought of long nights and difficult days. He thought of the years when nobody believed in him, including himself. The difference now was not talent. It was persistence. As the sun began to set, Ethan approached him hesitantly. "Do you think I can really do this?" the boy asked. Michael looked at him carefully. "I think," he said slowly, "that you shouldn't wait for other people to decide that for you." Ethan smiled faintly. That night, after locking up, Michael stood outside the shop for a moment. The street was quiet. The air felt calm. He remembered the voices from his past. "He will never go far. You're wasting your time. You're not serious enough." Those words no longer hurt. They had become part of his story, not obstacles, but stepping stones. Because sometimes, when nobody believes in you, it forces you to discover something stronger, your own belief. And once you find it, it becomes difficult for anyone to take it away. Michael turned off the lights and walked home slowly, satisfied but humble. He knew challenges would continue. Life would not suddenly become simple. But he also knew something else. The boy who once doubted himself had grown into a man who built opportunity, not only for himself, but for others. And in the quiet confidence of that realization, he finally understood. The most important voice you will ever hear is your own. Even if nobody believes in you, keep going. Skills grow with patience, and confidence grows with persistence. When you believe in yourself, others will eventually see it too. Thank you for listening to Nobody Believed in Him on Listen and Learn English. This story reminds us that belief often begins within ourselves, and that patience and persistence can change the direction of a life. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Listen and Learn English for more heartfelt stories. See you in the next story.